Okay, so this video will be a solution video to the previous exercise, building the Dad Joke 3000 program. And I'll start by just making a new file called jokes.py. And the first thing we know we need to do is import requests. And we're going to have, a requests.get something. And we're going to save it to a variable. And we're going to ask a user for input. So where should we start? How about we ask our user for input? Let's just call it term. And it will be get or input. What would you like to search for? Add a space at the end to make it a little nicer. And then let's leave it alone for just a moment. Let's make our request. And the URL we want is icanhasdadjoke.com/search. So I'll make another variable called URL, make this a string, and we don't need the query string at the end. We just want /search. Cool. And from here, we're going to pass in URL. And let's save the response to a variable. So we'll just call it res equals requests.get. And we could just do our print res dot. And we could start by doing text like this. Because remember, right now we're not asking for JSON. We're going to get HTML back. And let's see what happens. What would you like to search for? Dog. And eventually, there we go. All that JavaScript and HTML that comes back that the browser would do something with. So now let's change it up and actually ask for the JSON version, which the way we do that, remember we have headers and we want accept application/JSON. By the way, if you wanted to know more about that and exactly how it works, go to the API documentation and it says API response format. All API endpoints follow their respective browser URLs, but we adjust the response formatting to be more suited for an API based on the provided header. And the header is accept. Accepted, accept headers. Text/HTML, the default response format. So that's what we just got. Application/JSON, that's what we want. So this says, you can specify what you want, which we already knew because I showed you that, but just to be clear, if you didn't know that, you could find it out here. So we want application/JSON. And now if we try and print res.text, it doesn't matter what we search for. You can see what we get is the JSON response. By the way, we're not searching for anything, so I think it just gives us 20 random jokes. Or I think gives us all of them and puts them on pages. But anyway, so this right now is a giant string. So we need to turn it into JSON. And that's nice and simple. All we do is use the .json method at the end. So I'm going to put these on new lines to make it a bit easier. Put this down at the bottom, just like that. And we can actually just tack on .json right here. So we could make a new variable and call it, JSON res equals res.json. Or I could just chain it on at the bottom like this. And I prefer this way because all we want is the JSON that comes back. So let's try it. Oh, we're not printing anything. Let's print res now, which should now be the JSON version. And this is now a Python dictionary. And so we have things like current page, limit, next page, previous page, results, what else? Search term, status. There's a bunch of things we have. So now let's hook up our search term. And to do that, all we need to do is take the user term right here, add a comma, and then do params equals. And the param we want is term, this is not up to us. This is how the API is set up. But this part is a variable, and we can just specify term. And I know it's kind of confusing. They're both called term. So we could change this to user input, maybe. And then here, we'll have user input. And I'm actually not a fan of shortening that. Just an extra letter doesn't hurt. Okay, so now the search term is going to be user input, which is the same thing as doing term equals and then whatever the user inputs. Let's see if it works. Oh, I actually need to search for something now. Let's do dog. And it looks like we're getting dog jokes. My dog has no nose. How does he smell? Awful. Oh yeah, we already heard that one. I went to the zoo the other day. There was only one dog in it. It was a Shih Tzu. Very funny. Okay, so that's getting us results now. So here's the next thing is we want to take the jokes out and we want to figure out how many there are. And we have a couple of options. If you notice, first of all the jokes are inside of results as a list. So we can, loop through that list, or we could just take that list and figure out the length of it. We could definitely do that. So we could start there. Let's just print res results, which is a list. And let's print the length of that. And this will tell us how many jokes we got back. So if I search for dog, we get 8. If I search for something that doesn't exist, 0. So that's one option, and we could save that to a variable, call it num jokes or something, and then do if num jokes is equal to 1, if it's greater than 1, if it's equal to 0. But there's actually an even easier way. If we look at what we get back from the API, aside from results, after results ends, which is right here, we have search term is dog, status is 200, total jokes is 8. So we can take advantage of total jokes and just do this. Number of jokes equals res total jokes. And that will now allow us to do things like if num jokes, and where should we start? Let's check first if it's greater than 1. Let's just do a print. There are many jokes. If, or elif, num jokes is equal to 1, we can do a print. There is 1 joke. And then finally, we'll just do an else. We'll print there are no jokes. So again, we're not even using the actual length of the list of results. There's a shortcut that we get back from the API right here, total jokes. Let's see if it works. I'm going to search for something where there are no jokes. We get there are no jokes. Let's search for something like dog. I think there was 8. So we get there are many jokes. And I don't know what there's only 1 joke for. I think, flower. I think we tried earlier. There we go. There was 1 joke for flower. Cool. So now what's the behavior we want? Well, the else part is easy. Let's just change this to, sorry, couldn't find a joke with your term. And then let's do an f string and then add in, what is it called? User input. Like that. If there's exactly 1 joke, let's just also print res, just like this. So we can analyze the way that the response is sent. So let's try that again with flower. And you can see if there's exactly 1 joke, it's still inside of something called results, and it's a list, but there's only 1 item in that list. So it still sends it in a list. And that's important that our this API behaves the same way in a predictable manner. Because if it just decided to send it not in a list because there's only 1 item, then it would break our code if we were trying to check for a list. So what we'll do is print response results 0. So that's going to be the first item in the list, just to double check that. So we have this whole thing is response or res. Results gives us this, and there's 1 item, so we use 0, and that gives us this. And then that won't even get the exact joke just yet. If I try it again and I type flower, it's still a dictionary, and we need the joke key out of there, or the value using the joke key. So then we tack on joke. Try it again. We'll do flower, and we get don't buy flowers at a monastery, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now we need to go to this scenario where there's many jokes, 2 or 8 or 10 results. We want to pick one at random. And the first thing we'll do is import random. And there's a couple ways of picking a random element from a list. We could generate a number. Let's say there's 4 items in our list. We could generate a number from 0 up to 3 and then use that to access the index randomly. Or we can use this special method that we get called choice. And choice will take a list, and it could contain, a couple things in there, and it will pick one thing at random and return it from the list. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do from random import choice, because that's all we need. Okay, so import choice, and then down here, I'm going to run choice on what? What am I going to pick? When there's many results, they're inside of results, and this itself is a list. So I just want to pick one item at random from that list. So for example, here, results goes all the way down to here. Pick one thing. So I just specified choice of res results. And notice I'm using this variable in more than one place. It would be better, in my opinion, to refactor this to make a variable called results equals res results. So cut that, put that there. And then here, I can just access that results variable because I'm using it in two places. So all I'm doing is just saving it to variable so I don't have to access that key value pair more than once. And then choice results, if I print choice results, just like this, let's see what we get. If I search for dog, all right, so it just picked one. What did the dog say to the two trees? Bark, bark. Same thing, if I do dog again, we get a different joke. Why did the cowboy have a wiener dog? Someone told him to get a long little doggy. Get along? I'm not sure I get that one. So all we want to do now is access joke. So we don't want to, print out the ID and all that extra stuff. We just want the joke. And let's change this. Instead of saying there are many jokes, let's be specific. Let's say I found, we need to make this an F string. And what is the number of jokes? It's called num jokes. So let's say something like I found 3 jokes about, and then the term that the user entered. And then we'll say here's 1. And then print the joke on the next line. And then let's do the same thing. Here in F string, I found 1 joke about, and then put in user input. Okay, let's just test it. I'll start by clearing my screen. Let's look for cat. It says I found 5. Oh, I need to put joke. 5 about cat. Here's 1. Put the cat out. I didn't realize it was on fire. Dog. I found 8 about dog. Here's 1. My dog used to chase people on a bike a lot. It's so bad I had to take his bike away. And then search for something that doesn't exist. Sorry, I couldn't find a joke with your term. Add. Cool. So let me just fix this and add I found num jokes and put the word jokes in there. And that's pretty much it for the base functionality. And then if we wanted to just print a little header up top, remember we just want to import, what was it called? PyFiglet, like that. And then we'll make a variable called header equals, and it's PyFiglet dot, and I'm just trying to remember this. I think it's Figlet format. And then let's do dad joke 3000 or something. It's totally up to you what you want to call it. And we can just print the header at the very beginning. Okay, it works. And let's look for other jokes about dad. Ooh, 16. And to make it colored, we could also do import term color. And all we want actually from that is from term color, import colored. And to make that, we'll just say header equals colored version of header. And then let's set color to be magenta, my favorite, well, close to purple. And then we'll print header. See if it works. Cool, it works. Last little change we could make is just do a from Piglet format import Figlet. Wait, I called it Piglet format. PyFiglet, geez. Okay, and then here we can just change that down to Figlet format. Also, a common question is if we should put these on the same line or not. And according to the most common Python style guides, it's actually preferred to put them on separate lines. Just make sure I didn't break anything. Try it one more time. Okay, everything looks good. Let's do kitten. Is there a kitten? Nope, no kitten jokes. All right, so that's that. We could put this in different functions, but it's pretty short as far, 28 lines or so. I don't think it really warrants wrapping things up into different functions, but you totally could.